The Ryukyu Kingdom, while subservient to both Japan and China, remarkably maintained its independence. This was due to an astonishing diplomatic strategy. Even after being invaded and subjugated by the Satsuma domain in the early 17th century, Ryukyu continued its tributary relationship with the Chinese emperor. This was an utterly extraordinary and unconventional form of diplomacy known as dual allegiance. But, in fact, an even more astonishing truth was hidden beneath. Why did Ryukyu continue this dangerous tightrope walk? In this video, we will explain why Ryukyu chose dual allegiance, how it maintained this delicate balance, and what ultimately happened to the kingdom. Let's now delve into that truth. The main feature also details Ryukyu's unique cultural and economic development. The Ryukyu Kingdom was unified by Shohashi in the 15th century, bringing an end to the period of conflict known as the Three Mountains era. This unification laid the foundation for the future Ryukyu Kingdom, marking its beginning as a maritime nation. The unified Ryukyu first forged deeper ties with the dominant East Asian power of the time, the Ming dynasty. Ryukyu engaged in a tributary relationship with Ming, formally receiving investiture from the Ming Emperor as the King of Ryukyu. This granted Ryukyu the right to conduct stable tributary trade with Ming, yielding immense economic benefits. Envoys from China regularly visited Ryukyu, and grand ceremonies were held with each succession of a new king. Ryukyu actively embraced Chinese culture, integrating it with its own unique traditions as it developed. Thus, by accepting China as its suzerain, Ryukyu secured its international standing and economic prosperity. However, behind this favorable relationship, a new threat loomed over Ryukyu. So why did it also forge ties with Japan? While building relations with China, Ryukyu also became deeply connected with Japan's Satsuma domain through trade. The Satsuma domain, facing restrictions on its own overseas trade, found Ryukyu's commerce highly appealing. However, the wealth Ryukyu gained from its tributary trade with China became the object of Satsuma's envy, eventually leading to invasion. Then, in 1609, the Satsuma domain launched a large-scale military invasion against the Ryukyu Kingdom. Due to an overwhelming disparity in military power, the Ryukyuan forces were helpless and quickly subdued. King Shō-Nei was captured and taken to Satsuma. The Ryukyu Kingdom effectively fell under Japanese control. Remarkably, however, Satsuma permitted Ryukyu to continue its tributary relationship with China. This placed Ryukyu in a complex position, nominally a vassal state of China, but effectively under Japanese rule. This marked the beginning of dual allegiance, a remarkably rare diplomatic system that characterized the Ryukyu Kingdom. Why did Satsuma tacitly approve the continuation of relations with China? In fact, herein lay Ryukyu's secret strategy for survival. At the core of Ryukyu's dual allegiance system was its entrepot trade, leveraging its geographical advantage. Situated at a vital junction of trade routes connecting China, Japan, Korea, and Southeast Asia, it prospered by acting as an intermediary for goods. Specifically, it brought high-quality Chinese products, like silk and ceramics, to Japan, and Japanese silver and sulfur to China. The Satsuma domain had its sights set on the immense profits derived from this entrepot trade, especially the tributary trade with China. Satsuma's direct trade with China was impossible due to Japan's isolationist policy and Qing China's maritime restrictions at the time. Therefore, Satsuma chose to indirectly benefit from trade with China through Ryukyu. Ryukyu presented itself to China as an independent tributary state, and to Japan as a vassal state under Satsuma's control. When Chinese investiture envoys visited Ryukyu, Satsuma officials would remove their Japanese attire and avoid appearing in official Ryukyuan settings. By expertly switching between these two faces, Ryukyu maintained a delicate balance between the two great powers, engaging in diplomacy that gambled its very survival. This peculiar dual diplomacy brought peace and cultural prosperity to Ryukyu. But how long did this equilibrium last? Under the dual allegiance system, Ryukyu absorbed cultures from both China and Japan, fostering its own rich and unique heritage. Its artistry in music, textiles, lacquerware, and architecture continues to captivate many people today. However, as the 19th century dawned, global affairs underwent drastic changes, and Western powers began their expansion into East Asia. Ryukyu's strategic location became significant not only for Western powers but also for Japan. Japan, having become a modern nation through the Meiji Restoration, vigorously pursued national enrichment and military strengthening, accelerating the demarcation of its borders. At this time, the dual allegiance status of Ryukyu, a territory of Japan that also paid tribute to China, became unacceptable. Consequently, in 1879, the Meiji government decisively implemented the Ryukyu disposition, abolishing the Ryukyu Kingdom and establishing Okinawa Prefecture. The Ryukyu Kingdom's history as an independent state, spanning nearly 700 years, thus came to an end. The Japanese government finally moved to settle the ambiguous state of dual allegiance. What did this choice bring to Ryukyu? Through skillful entrepot trade and dual diplomacy, the Ryukyu Kingdom maintained its independence and built peace and prosperity, despite being caught between great powers. Its diplomatic strategy could be called the ultimate wisdom for a small nation to survive among great powers. However, it could not resist the tide of modernization and the encroachment of foreign powers, eventually becoming integrated into Japanese territory. The kingdom that once boasted prosperity thus began a new chapter in history as Japan's Okinawa Prefecture. The history of Ryukyu teaches us about the balance of power, the importance of diplomacy, and how to adapt to changing times.
History still hides untold stories. Subscribe for more forgotten history.